Can you hear okay?
Yep.
All right.
Today's MetroNews television forecast is brought to you by Lou Wendell Marine Sales. We sell family fun.
I'm meteorologist Brandon Weathers. A lot of moisture content in the air, keeping things very muggy in the days ahead, with periodic showers and thunderstorms producing heavy downpours, and then overnight into the morning period, seeing dense fog develop. The heavy rain threat is a marginal one across the area through tonight and on Thursday. A slight risk Friday and Saturday. These are the 2 days with the greater potential of flooding developing. And then going into Sunday, one more day with a widespread marginal heavy rain threat. So a sign of how prolonged this period will be for us. Accumulation generally in 1 to 2 inches through Sunday night, with the highest amounts expected in the purples here. Locally, higher amounts certainly are a possibility. We'll see areas of showers and storms improve a bit heading into the overnight hours, then redeveloping by the early morning. This is what we'll see is thunderstorms coming and going, typically seeing the most widespread activity in the afternoons and evenings. FlyStarW forecast, it starts at home. Other stormy spots you could be traveling to: New York, D.C., Charlotte, Orlando, also rather hot as we look into the southeast as well heading into the weekend. Panhandle to Panhandle forecast, we have some dense fog, as mentioned, that could be developing toward New Cumberland overnight. 68 there, 70 for Moundsville, then 88 for a high Thursday. Morgantown, 83. Looking east for some mid to upper 60s for low temperatures. Some storms overnight and storms in the day with mid 80s for highs. We'll see 67 in Elkins tonight, and then 81 here on Thursday. Mid 80s pushing west toward Parkersburg. Marlinton, 65 tonight. Charleston closer to the 70-degree mark, then low to mid-80s in this area of West Virginia for our Thursday. This active stretch will carry us through the weekend into the start of next week, then it should be a little quieter around Tuesday.
You own a boat because you love spending time on the water. Choose the outboard that allows you to make the most of it. Honda Marine's legendary reliability, ease of maintenance, and powerful performance keep you going strong. And they're all backed by the peace of mind protection of the industry's best limited warranty. Visit your Honda Marine dealer today and find out why it's more than an engine. It's your time on the water.
Five, three,
Rag 57! Rag 57! Hot, hot!
I don't believe what I just saw. Bill McKenzie hits a 38-yard field goal on the final play of the football game.
5 seconds left in the game. Do you believe in miracles? Yes!
It is a great night to be a Mountaineer wherever you may be.
From the home of the state's land-grant institution, inside the Health Plan Studios, in the Dale B. Miller Building in Morgantown, it's time for the state's most listened to sports talk show. This is the CityNet Statewide Sportsline. CityNet, cybersecurity experts for the digital age. And now, across the state of West Virginia and beyond, Sportsline is on the air.
CityNet Statewide Sportsline for this Wednesday. Thanks for joining us. I'm Kyle Wiggs. We've got a special guest in the studio. We've had some different folks in this week, and Kevin Kinder of Blue and Gold News, our co-host for the night. Kevin, good evening.
Scraping the bottom of the barrel.
Oh no, we're having fun. We're getting an opportunity to bring some fresh faces onto the set here this week, and it's been great. But we appreciate your time. Thanks for coming and sitting in. And we're going to do a lot tonight. We're going to talk about Big 12 Media Days and hear comments from Mountaineer coach Rich Rodriguez from the podium. He has a pie-in-the-sky dream of bringing regionalization back to college football. It's a great idea. It sounds wonderful to talk about and fantasize about. Will it ever happen?
It's one that's shared by a lot of fans,
That's
a
right.
lot of right-thinking fans. I'll say, hey, there's nothing really negative about that other than the fact that it will never happen.
At this point, yes.
Right.
I think it's too late into the game. So we'll hear the comments from the coach coming up, and maybe hear from one or two other coaches from Media Day today. This is the first time I've talked to you since Omaha. I'm interested in getting your thoughts on what kind of experience everyone who made that trip was just blown away, and many people saying it was as good or better than the basketball Final Four, as good as any bowl trip they've ever taken. What was your experience in Omaha?
I would put it right up there with the Final Four. I think the thing that made this really good was all of the events around the stadium. You had the baseball village, and it was just dozens of, food outlets, drinking outlets. Obviously, that's going to be a party focus, but, a lot of different places selling stuff and, baseball stuff. A couple of West Virginia's players got new bats. We ran into them after one game, and they were having custom bats made for themselves. So, yeah, it was just really baseball centric. And if you're a baseball fan or a follower, or you are into this, yeah, I certainly understand it. There was just not much negative at all about it. Just a great experience.
And the fact that the Mountaineers won a couple of games and stuck around and made a week of it, that really made it special as well.
Yeah, we always joke about when West Virginia was in the Big East, it seemed like it always played that first Tuesday afternoon game, and there were 3 or 4 years where the Mountaineers lost that first one, and you were gone before half the teams even got there. So, yeah, it was sure you would have liked to have won more, but winning a couple games, sending a couple other teams home and being there until close to the very end just made it really good.
And, again, this program, it's tremendous what they've accomplished, and we're going to spend a few minutes here a little bit later on the show kind of going through the rebuild of the roster, and obviously with Gavin Kelly and 1 or 2 of the pitchers back, that's a great build. Those are great building foundation blocks to build around, so we'll talk about that as well. Tyler Barnett of ESPN Plus, he's going to join us tomorrow night on the show, and we'll get into that a little bit as well. Football, media days. Mountaineer fans are starved for any kind of football talk because, the baseball team carried us well into June. That was great. Usually you have a 2-month gap between the end of baseball season and the start of preseason camp. The baseball filled up a large portion of that, thank goodness. But again, now it's time to turn our attention. I get about one text tonight saying who's going to be the starting quarterback, who's going to win that job. I don't know. That's why they have competition, right? But anything that stood out to you the last couple of days during Big 12 Conference Media Days?
On the quarterback situation, you're always looking, like you said, for any hint. And Rich Rodriguez today seemed to have the slightest of leans toward Michael Hawkins, and I'm not going to say that means he's starting or anything. But maybe there was just a little bit more of enthusiasm is the wrong word, but whatever, maybe top-level mention. I still think it's underway, and I still think the biggest thing comes down to who protects the ball.
Yeah.
West Virginia cannot turn the ball over. It's, I think the offense can be better, but it simply can't give the ball away, even more than a lot of teams can. If you're a team that can throw it downfield and run all over the place, you can afford a couple turnovers. This one can't. And the quarterback that's accurate. West Virginia's completion percentage was just not good enough last year, and throwing a lot of short and mid-range passes, you got to complete those. You got to be in the mid-60s. So I think maybe the competition is still underway a little bit, but we'll keep watching for those hints.
One thing Coach Hunter always says, he said it repeatedly, is it doesn't matter if the coach has his mind made up right now or if it's going to be 18 practices into preseason camp, whoever wins the job, we're not going to know until the person runs out on the field literally and takes the first snap of the season.
I have a feeling that's true. It would be a total reversal of his normal operating procedure to do that. I'm interested to know who the starting 5 on the offensive line are, who wins the mass competition in the defensive secondary, because while maybe those aren't quite as important as quarterback, they're still big parts of what the makeup of this team's going to be.
I have a feeling we'll get a few more hints regarding those other positions as preseason camp moves along in comparison to the quarterback, because I agree with Coach Hunter. I don't think we're going to know who won that starting quarterback job until the very first snap of the very first game. Hopefully the Mountaineers will have the ball first, which will cut down the wait time 5 or 10 minutes. Perhaps. Also, what we're going to do, and of course the Big 12 Conference stopped doing the preseason media poll a couple of years ago when Arizona State was picked in the poll to finish last and then went out and won the league. So for whatever reason, that kind of embarrassed them, and they cut out the league. Now, I know it means absolutely nothing, but it's July, and we're having fun, so we're kind of doing our own preseason Big 12 media poll. We got Greg Carey's picks last night. Kevin and I will make our picks. We'll go through what we think will happen 1 through 16, and again, it's meaningless basically, but we'll have a little fun with that on the show tonight as well. 304-TALK-304, that is the text line. It is open to you, 304-TALK-304. We're underway with this Wednesday edition of the Sportsline. Kevin Kinder of the Blue and Gold News, he's our co-host for tonight. We'll take a break. We'll come back and listen in on what Coach Rich Rodriguez had to say today. This is the CityNet statewide Sportsline. CityNet is West Virginia's local internet provider. High-speed, reliable fiber internet probably right at your front door, and now is the perfect time to connect. Local customer support you can trust, fast, reliable fiber internet built for everyday life. When it's high-speed internet you need, CityNet.net connects, protects, and perfects.
Answering a text or phone call while driving seems pretty harmless, right? But in the 5 seconds you took your eyes off the road to respond, you missed the girl riding her bike across the street. You missed the dog who darted into the road. And you missed the stop sign. And while it was just a ticket this time, it could have been worse. In fact, more than 700 people are injured in distracted driving crashes each day. Keep yourself and others safe. Don't drive distracted. Just drive. This message was brought to you by the West Virginia Governor's Highway Safety Program.
We are there for you, to care for you at the health plan. We are here for you.
For over 4 decades, we've been rooted deep inside West Virginia. Through thick and thin, supporting local families and businesses. Proudly serving your neighborhood since 1979. Your trusted partner in the community.
The health plan, we are here for you.
Ready to make this boating season unforgettable? Head to Lou Wendell Marine Sales, family owned and operated for over 40 years and West Virginia's largest Avalon pontoon dealer. Lou and his sons are boating experts from sales to service to repairs. And right now, their lot is packed with incredible inventory and some of the best deals of the season. Whether it's weekends on the lake or sunset cruises with the family, Lou Wendell Marine Sales has your perfect boat waiting. Because they don't just sell boats, they sell family fun. Visit LouWendellMarineSales.com today.
Live from the Health Plan Studios, the CityNet statewide Sportsline returns in 2 minutes on MetroNews, the voice of West Virginia.
Need a truck that's ready for work, weekends, and everything in between? Right now at Dan Cava GMC, get up to $10,000 off select new GMC Sierra 1500, or save up to $4,000 off all new GMC Canyon Elevations, offering bold styles, advanced technology, and everyday practicality. Come explore our all-new GMC Yukons, built for busy families and big adventures. All this and more at Dan Cava GMC in Bridgeport. Shop the world.
What do you know about hot dogs? Because we've been all about hot dogs this week.
I love hot dogs, and I love them with Miracle Whip.
Oh, God, I forgot. Never mind.
And onions.
Okay.
I actually, yesterday morning, I had a hot dog for breakfast at 6:45 with onions and Miracle Whip.
And with that, we'll be back right after this.
Join Dave Allen weekdays for midday on Metro News Television.
You know CityNet is West Virginia's leading technology company. Whether we're managing IT infrastructures, protecting the critical data and networks of our region's businesses, or providing fiber broadband, TV, and phone services, we are your go-to experts. We're also a strong partner in the communities in which we serve. CityNet, your trusted technology partner. Learn more about us, visit citynet.net.
Looking for a show that talks about everything? You found it.
By the way, I'm really happy to talk about this as opposed to Ryan's opinion that being a sports fan is a bad thing.
He said that it kept him from being stressed about it, not that it was a bad thing, that he didn't have the stress. And, I mean, I've seen you pace.
Yeah, you're only 30 and you look like that.
So true. So
Join Dave Weekly and Coop weekdays for Hotline on Metro News Television.
Sitting at Statewide Sportsline Wednesday night. We're in our Spruce Street studio. Kyle Wiggs joined by our special co-host tonight, Kevin Kinder of the Blue and Gold News. Mountaineer coach Rich Rodriguez at the Star in Frisco, Texas earlier today. Big 12 Conference Media Days, and he met the gathered media. In fact, West Virginia was number 16 of the teams. There were 8 yesterday, 8 today, and West Virginia was last. But Coach Rodriguez had the crowd there at the end all to himself, and he was asked about the quarterbacks, Michael Hawkins and Scotty Fox, the competition going into preseason camp, and he kind of answered that, but he used the opportunity to kind of talk about the competition at every position that he anticipates in preseason camp coming up.
You know, we kind of flipped the roster again, 80 get new guys again this year, and it wasn't, we just had to because we had a lot of seniors last year. We had a little bit more money this year, a lot more time, a little bit more intent on who we wanted to get out of the portal. So now we only got, I think, 14 or 15 seniors, but we wanted to have competition in every position and legitimate competition, and we wanted guys that had production, not potential. So at the quarterback spot, Scotty coming back, he played as a really young true freshman last year and competed well. He's got better, but we wanted a guy that could, you know, we think could compete with a starting job and maybe take us to another whole level. And that was Mike Hawkins, who had a great spring. He could run, he could throw. The thing that I thought was most impressed with Mike and Scotty both in spring is with their decisiveness. You know, a lot of times a quarterback is still learning the system and they hold on to the ball too long or they hesitate. And Mike and Scotty were both really, really decisive in their actions. So I'm excited about those two. Leading the charge there, but I also think we're able to get competition at just about every position, and we look more for production as opposed to potential. You know, guys that had been very productive, whether it's at a group of 5 school or what have you, that started and played in college games and wanted to try to play at the highest level. And so I thought our staff did a good job with that. I think the few returning players we have coming back have done a great job of helping us establish the culture, reestablish the culture, I guess you could say. And so I feel pretty confident we're better all the way around.
So ask about the quarterback there, and he took the opportunity to talk about enhanced depth and more good players, I believe, on this roster going into preseason camp.
Yeah, at the risk of reinforcing Coach Speak, which, you know, we try not to do, we want direct answers. I mean, I agree with that. Because there were players on the field last year that was the only option. You know, you could tell that they had kind of just had to fill those spots. And when you have that, you can get away with a couple of those. But for a team like West Virginia, you've got to have people that are pushing each other, that are doing better. So certainly agree with that approach. And we're going to see what that looks like, hopefully in a couple of fall practices, but maybe not until the season starts. But we'll see the results of that.
Yeah, and the injury situation was just freaky last year at the running back and quarterback position, something that he's never seen, that, in fact, many of us have never seen that many injuries at the same positions.
Oh, those two were just crazy. And then you lose Jaden Bray,
right,
who was going to be your bell cow at wide receiver, and he goes down in game 2. So, and the weapons that you did have that the whole offense was basically built around, suddenly they're gone.
Cut number 2 with the coach improving, moving up in the standings this year, the possibilities of that for the Mountaineers.
The game is constantly evolving. I mean, I said this last year. I mean, you could brag about having so many years of experience, but if you never learned or grew from your experience, you don't have 20-some years experience. You got 1 year repeated 20-some times, right? Well, now, especially true with where college athletics is at, college football in general. I mean, you got to be able to manage your money. You're paying players, so you got to pay the right guys. If you make a mistake, you got to own up to it and make adjustments. If you made the right move, you got to make sure you lock them in. Money helps solve a lot of problems. You know, you could make more mistakes if you got more money, but you still got to make the right decisions on staffing and on players and play calls, all that kind of stuff. So as tough as it was at times last year, I think it was our biggest learning year going forward to this year, because we knew we'd have a little bit more, you know, we have a full rev share now. You know, last year we didn't have that. You know, we had more time to find guys that were productive at the other schools that played college football, as opposed to, we didn't have any offensive linemen that started games last year. So we were able to get more guys we thought were ready to play and more competition in all the positions. and you got to constantly evolve a little bit. I guess I've been around long enough to know that we're, college football, in my opinion, is such a great entity. It's hard to screw it up, but there's so many things going on right now that's going to try to screw it up. But you got to try to overcome it the best way you can, and we have a good plan for that. The good part of that, I felt this way last year, and I feel even more so now. You have to win in college athletics. You have to be aligned all the way from the top down, from your board, your president, your athletic director, obviously your coaches and your players, and your fan base as well. And we have that in West Virginia. We are aligned with where we want to go to. So I feel confident we'll be a lot better this year, probably a lot better than people predict, but we've got to prove that first.
Yeah, so a long answer there to say, yes, they believe that they're deeper, they're more talented, they're more athletic, they can move up in the standings this year.
And we can plug that into about 12 to 13 of the other players. But, I mean, that's okay. That's not a criticism of Coach Rob, because every coach is kind of in that mode right now. They're not going to point out things that they think are shortcomings. I think it's interesting. He continues to propose, the regional that we talked about.
Yeah.
If you could get back to 8 conferences that are geographically aligned and save a lot of money on travel, wear and tear time, all those things that we've always talked about. It's kind of like Randy Mazie when he always was proposing pushing the college baseball season back and finishing it at the 1st of August, to try to avoid some of those overlaps. So, everybody's got their pet projects that they want to push, and that one's Coach Rod's, and there's a lot of sense to it.
We'll get into that. We'll hear the coach's plan. He'll lay that out. But first, you mentioned the offensive line questions, and that really is a mystery. There's a lot of potential. There's a lot of bodies. The only guy, or one of the most experienced guy, certainly coming back, is Nick Cray, and the coach talked about that, building the offensive line around Nick Cray.
Nick last year was probably our most productive and best offensive lineman. And Nick could play tackle, but when we brought in Coach Rick Trickett, the new O-line coach, he wanted to try him at guard. He thought that would be Nick's natural position. And he had a great spring at guard, but he could play guard, he could play tackle. He knows the system. He's kind of the leader up front. And I don't need raw leaders. I don't need that. And Nick's not that guy, but from his work ethic, from his talent, the way he represents our program, he's everything we want in leading the guys up front. And I think Nick will be one of the best linemen in our league this year. And he's still getting better, with Coach Trickett's coaching and with Nick's ability and work ethic. I think he's an all-conference guy.
Yeah, Nick Cray, just a junior, and again, the cornerstone of the offensive line, and a lot of questions there. Will the freshman play? How much will he play? Will Landon Livingston, is he good enough to hold down that center position? Who plays left tackle? There's lots and lots of questions.
Yeah, you've got guys that have a little bit of experience from either previous stops or last year, like Josh Asosa, Malik Agbo. I'm sure I'm forgetting somebody, Andrea Sunner, coming in, an in-state product.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, you don't have to have all of those guys hit, but you got to have a couple to add to the people that are back to build a 5, because that was just such a problem last year. And I don't think I've ever seen Rich Rodriguez more frustrated than when West Virginia could not convert a 3rd and 1 or a 4th and 1. I mean, the steam was just boiling. It could, fire several boilers, and understandably so, because you got to be able to pick those up.
Yep, and they're going to run the football. Obviously, with Cam Cook coming over, the expectation is to have one of the top run games in all of the Big 12 Conference. Well, when the Big 12 preseason player poll came out, they didn't do a 1 through 16 ranking, but they did issue a list of preseason players, and it was a surprise to see Caden Luke on there, right? And
it was a limited field, let's be honest, but there are a couple other fullbacks in there that played last year that got some notice, so good for Caden.
Yeah.
And, that's the kind of thing that doesn't get noticed, but if your offensive line is still not overpowering or dominating, having a true fullback, that extra guy, let's see what he can do, what you can do with that. So, I don't, like Britt said, I don't think you're going to see him getting the ball a bunch, but he can have a fairly decent snap count if the run game is what is hoped to
be. So Cam Cook, preseason, all Big 12 conference. Caden Luke, all first-team Big 12 conference. And Coach Rich Rodriguez talked about Luke and that fullback position.
Fullback position kind of went away for a long time. A lot of times nowadays you just use the tight end in that role. But we wanted a guy that, there's no secret that we like to run the football. And I didn't know if we had a guy that was a true fullback in the old school ways. And Caden kind of popped up there in the portal, and I'm like, hey, he got a role to play. And I think part of what's so neat about coaching in football, you got so many different, it's unlike any other sport. You got 11 truly different positions on offense. Maybe you're 12 if you count a fullback, all different positions on defense. And so when you're putting together a team, you want to make sure that you have every kind of position with a guy that's a quality player. And so we really didn't have a true fullback kind of guy we wanted to use in our offense. And so Caden was the guy that popped up. He fits the bill. He doesn't care if he's going to run it. You can block him every time. And so he's going to play a role for us there. But it's different constructing a roster now than it was just 5 or 6 years ago. So you got to try to bring guys in there, all have a value to your program, and then try to use them as best you can to make that value show up.
All right, so Caden Luke there at the fullback position. And, of course, West Virginia searched high and low for a short yardage guy last year, moved the defender over, and had great success with that, pretty good success with that. He leaves the program, so there may be opportunities for a short yardage back.
Oh, I think there is, because when you're putting 8 linemen on the line to try to block and guys that have not been working at that all summer and all fall, obviously you're scraping the barrel to just try to figure out something to gain a yard or two. If you can line up in 5 with 1 or 2 tight ends and the fullback leading somebody into the hole, hey, that's pretty good. And then once you establish that, then you can really get rolling, because you can fake a little bit of that and work off of that and maybe do something else, do something on the perimeter.
Mm-hmm. All right, here's the cut where Coach talked a little bit. He was asked directly about the WVU Pitt matchup and getting that game back on the schedule. It does return to the schedule down the line, not this year or next year, right, 2028. And then he took the opportunity to talk about his vision, the way things need to be in college football. Coach Rich Rodriguez on getting Pitt back on the schedule, and for that matter, more regional rivals back on the schedule.
We got Pitt coming back in 28, maybe in 3 years, and that'll be great. I mean, we should be playing them every year, and so we'll get them back. Now, I don't know how long that's going to keep going after that, but I think all what's happened in college athletics, part of the conference expansions and breakups, whatever, has caused some of those traditional rivals to go by the wayside. I mean, I've got my own opinions. I'm not afraid to share my own opinions. I love the Big 12, but it'd be nice to have some regional, have us all come together. Can't we all come together and shake hands and give each other a group hug, and then have a Eastern Regional and a South Regional and a North Regional, and then everybody share the money, and there's money for everybody. We all can get along, like 60 of us or so. I think that would be great. I don't know did anybody else say that? Probably not. They might be afraid. I don't care. I think that would be good. So I'm going to put my pitch right now. I'm not speaking for anybody other than Coach Rod, that he would love for all the Power 4 teams to come together, shake hands, and then, hey, let's get the biggest TV package in the history of TV packages, and then we can have Pitt and Virginia Tech and Penn State and Maryland and Cincinnati and maybe Virginia and North Carolina, one of those all right there, and our fans can drive to it. We have a rivalry every year, and everybody make money. Nobody gets fired. Players get good, and then this place will be packed again, and we can have this will be the how would you call it, the Texas regional kind of, yeah. And so you guys would come. Wouldn't that be fun? Can we put that together? I got all the ADs out there shaking their head like I'm nuts. But this is, I got a lot more time behind me than ahead of me. I want to just get this thing right before I leave.
Well, okay, you can always hope, right? I mean, it makes sense, but nothing in college sports has made sense the last 10 years or so.
Oh, sure. And the only thing I disagree with there is people will still get fired. Even if all this happened, the coaches that finished in the bottom half of those leagues, those new alignments, they're going to be looking for new jobs.
That's true. All right, one more cut from the coach today. Cam Cook transferred from Jacksonville State, 1,659 yards, 16 touchdowns last year. He will serve as the centerpiece of WVU's run game. Rich Rodriguez on Cam Cook.
Yeah, our running back was going to be completely new. I mean, not one person returning. So we wanted to get a veteran guy that we knew could play at this level and had some experience. Well, Cam was a leading rusher in the country. He played in a similar system at Jack State last year, has played in the Big 12 before, and he's a complete player. And he can run, obviously. He's a great pass protector, a smart guy, can run, got great ball skills. And so he's kind of the bell cow in that room. And really pleased. He had an outstanding spring, and he was a target from, I think, maybe when the first was the first running back at, and Cam Cook was the first guy, and fortunately we got him.
Yeah, a little glitchy there, but you could tell at the end that, again, the list of running backs that West Virginia wanted out of the portal, Cam Cook was number one after leading the nation in rushing, and they end up reeling him in as a transfer.
And being at Jack State, obviously a little bit of familiarity, with him and with the coaches that were there. So they didn't have to do, I would not imagine, a whole lot of, personal background investigation, anything like that. Like, do you think he can play in the Big 12? Yes. That's the top guy.
304 Talk 304. That's the text line. Before we take a break, there's a story. Texter brought this up. There's a story out there that West Virginia and Kentucky are in negotiations to play a college basketball game, playing men's college basketball on Black Friday, and it was believed, it hasn't officially been announced yet, but it was believed that West Virginia was going to play North Carolina in Charlotte on Black Friday. So what do we know about this? What's happening here?
Yeah, I think maybe a couple of stories getting conflated. That would be an ambitious schedule, I would say, if you're going to play both of those, especially on the same day. Joking there.
Yes.
But even to play them both in the non-conference with the other games you have and where you're going, I guess you can say strength of schedule sort of contributed to West Virginia not being selected the last couple of years. But if they win a couple more games, if they had won a game in Charleston last year and whatever, they probably would have been in. So it wasn't like they were that far away. That's part of the dance that, man, I don't envy coaches at all in, and deciding, is this schedule too much? Are we not enough? Are we light? Let's see. But, it looks like they're going to be playing at least one.
Yeah, credit them for going out and playing these teams, and maybe that's the reason why the North Carolina game hasn't officially been announced yet. There was an official announcement that Marshall was playing North Carolina in Chapel Hill. And, in fact, the Herd playing Ohio State as well. But you just wonder if they're trying to move some dates around to accommodate both of these matchups possibly.
I did an article one time with Josh Eilert on scheduling because he was the scheduling guru master when he was here. And the descriptions that he gave to me of the negotiations that went on and figuring out who was going to be good in RPI and how that was going to hurt you, and, man – wow, that was just an unappreciated talent.
We talked about Kevin's experience in Omaha. This texter says, I've been to the Final Four, the 92 National League Championship Series, Pirates against the Braves, the regional against Kentucky, and then the games in Omaha in my top 5 sporting event experiences. And this same texter also says that the law school hill, the infamous law school, infamous if you're a player and you have to run it. But, of course, that people park and tailgate up there. This texter suggests that the law school hill now needs to be Rich's Ridge. Pretty
Except
good, huh?
You can't really see the field
That's
like
true.
You can from Randy's Ridge. So that would be more of just a party area. But, hey, with the way things are monetized, who knows?
That's
Maybe
right.
you can set that up.
I think that's the point. The texter, that's the one of the big tailgate areas up there would be Rich's Ridge, atop Law School Hill. 304 Talk 304, that is the text line. And we got a question on the baseball roster. We'll get to that in a little bit here. We're also going to we're going to make our picks for the Big 12, 1 through 16. Texter predicts that West Virginia wins 8 games this year. 8-4 at best. That's a pretty optimistic prediction. And I'm sure the prediction show will be coming up before we know it with Greg and Travis on Sunday night. 304 Talk 304, that's the number to call. Kevin Kinder of the Blue and Gold News. He is our co-host tonight. We'll take a break. We've got more coming up right after this.
At WVU Medicine's Heart and Vascular Institute, excellence isn't just a promise, it's proven. Our advanced heart surgery program ranks among the top 3% in the nation by the Society of Thoracic Surgeons and was named a high-performing hospital by U.S. News and World Report with multiple areas of distinction. In medicine, we lead with world-class outcomes and groundbreaking procedures. Visit wvumedicine.org/heart.
We are there for you, to care for you at the health plan. We are here for you.
For over 4 decades, we've been rooted deep inside West Virginia. Through thick and thin, supporting local families and businesses. Proudly serving your neighborhood since 1979. Your trusted partner in the community.
The health plan, we are here for you.
If a fire occurred in your home, would your smoke alarms work? Don't wait for a tragedy to find out. Smoke alarms are designed to give you and your family the precious seconds you need to safely escape. Test your smoke alarms every month by pressing the test button until the alarm sounds. Depending on the type of battery in your smoke alarm, you may need to change the batteries at least once a year or whenever the low battery warning chirps. And never remove the batteries for any reason. Remember, having working smoke alarms is not only a good idea, it's the law. A message from the West Virginia State Fire Marshal's Office.
Live from the Health Plan Studios, the CityNet statewide Sportsline returns in 2 minutes on MetroNews, the voice of West Virginia.
Today's MetroNews television forecast is brought to you by Lou Wendell Marine Sales. We sell family fun.
I'm meteorologist Brandon Weathers. A lot of moisture content in the air, keeping things very muggy in the days ahead, with periodic showers and thunderstorms producing heavy downpours, and then overnight into the morning period, seeing dense fog develop. The heavy rain threat is a marginal one across the area through tonight and on Thursday. A slight risk Friday and Saturday. These are the 2 days with the greater potential of flooding developing. And then going into Sunday, one more day with a widespread marginal heavy rain threat. So a sign of how prolonged this period will be for us. Accumulation generally in 1 to 2 inches through Sunday night, with the highest amounts expected in the purples here. Locally, higher amounts certainly are a possibility. We'll see areas of showers and storms improve a bit heading into the overnight hours, then redeveloping by the early morning. This is what we'll see is thunderstorms coming and going, typically seeing the most widespread activity in the afternoons and evenings. FlyStar W forecast, it starts at home. Other stormy spots you could be traveling to: New York, D.C., Charlotte, Orlando, also rather hot as we look into the southeast as well heading into the weekend. Panhandle to Panhandle forecast, we have some dense fog, as mentioned, that could be developing toward New Cumberland overnight. 68 there, 70 for Moundsville, then 88 for a high Thursday. Morgantown, 83. Looking east for some mid to upper 60s for low temperatures. Some storms overnight and storms in the day with mid 80s for highs. We'll see 67 in Elkins tonight, and then 81 here on Thursday. Mid 80s pushing west toward Parkersburg. Marlinton, 65 tonight. Charleston closer to the 70-degree mark, then low to mid-80s in this area of West Virginia for our Thursday. This active stretch will carry us through the weekend into the start of next week, then it should be a little quieter around Tuesday.
CityNet statewide Sportsline for this Wednesday night. We're inside the Health Plan Studios. Kyle Wiggs joined by Kevin Kinder of the Blue and Gold News. Media days at the Star in Frisco, Texas, but no preseason media poll, so we're just going to do our own. We got Greg Carey's picks last night. Joe Bricato's coming back tomorrow. We'll get his picks, but for whatever it's worth, which is nothing, absolutely nothing, we're still going to have some fun and make our picks. So let's start from number 16. At number 16, I've got Iowa State falling back down to the bottom of the league with their head coach gone. Rocco Becht is gone. They suffered a couple of significant injuries in the spring. I think it's going to be a long, hard climb for Iowa State to ever get back into contention in this league again.
I won't go that far, but I'm agreeing with you with ISU at number 16. They just lost so much. There's almost nothing left to build around.
At number 15, I have Colorado. Deion's been fun and entertaining. I love their young quarterback, but they didn't do it offensively last year. It's been a complete overhaul defensively again. Of course, Deion unfortunately distracted a lot with his health issues last year. Thank goodness he's healthy again. He was at media days yesterday declaring himself healthy and ready to go, but I've got Colorado at number 15.
I promise I was not copying off you. That is where I have them too. And, yeah, that could have had an effect, but, man, he's not playing out there.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, Kansas. I've got Kansas at 14. Andy Kotelnicki returns as the play caller at Kansas, but no Jalen Daniels anymore. And they couldn't stop the run last year defensively. They were, I believe, last in the league in takeaways. I've got Kansas plummeting to number 14.
We will come upon them soon in my list. Okay. I've got UCF at number 14. And just after watching them in person, I just wasn't impressed at all. The game, I felt like West Virginia could have, should have won. And it's tough to keep track of what everybody's getting, but yeah, I just don't see them on the upper half of the league.
Got a similar story there. It's kind of easy to root for Scott Frost to kind of get things going there again because he's doing the same thing Rich is doing here. He went away for a while, built his way back to Central Florida. We had tremendous success. But they're coming up on my list as well, pretty close. All right, number 13. I've got Baylor. Baylor just seems to be in a situation where Dave Aranda doesn't seem to be the guy to get that going again. I believe it's 4 losing seasons in 5 years. They did go out and find a quarterback in Lagway, the transfer from Florida. Aranda's given up the play-calling duties defensively to try and fix things on that side of the ball, but I've got Baylor at number 13.
13's where I slotted in Kansas for most of the reasons that you listed. I have Baylor a little bit higher. I just like Dave Aranda, I guess. Listening to him at media days, he just seems really sincere, but I've got Kansas at number 13.
Likeable guy, you're right, as most of these coaches are. I've got Central Florida slotted in there at number 12. You had UCF at 14, so I've got Central Florida at number 12.
I'm sure I'm preparing myself for the screams. I have West Virginia at number 12. My friends and even Greg at times will say that I am a little too negative in my outlooks. I prefer realistic. It could just be so close. West Virginia was 4-8 last year. It could have been 2-10, but it could have been 6-6. You're really talking 1 or 2 plays. So I think a lot of these teams from like 9 to 13, 14 are really pull them out of a bag.
Yes.
They're really close.
I agree. I think there's a huge drop off at the bottom with Colorado and Iowa State, but you're right. Anywhere between about that 9 and 14 range, you can pull teams out of a hat. Again, and Coach Rodriguez said it today on the podium. I mean, they've got 80 new players again.
It's a lot to deal with. Now, if 60 of those are better, hey, things could look up. You could put it all together, no question.
Yeah. I'm slightly more optimistic. We'll get to the Mountaineers coming up. At number 11, I've got Oklahoma State, and I'm already rethinking this because Mestamaker's there, and, of course, Caleb Hawkins is there following their coach from North Texas, had a record-setting offense last year. Don't know about their defense yet. Will they be able to stop anybody? I think Oklahoma State and West Virginia are the 2 teams that have the potential to improve the most. But for right now, I've got Oklahoma State in there at number 11.
I have Cincinnati there. And that's partly a predictive thing. I don't think they're done with this whole Sorsby thing and the investigation and whatever. Sometimes that doesn't affect you, but again, I didn't think they were the greatest team in the world there, so I've got them battling it out, but in there at 11.
I've got Cincinnati at got Cincinnati at number 10. I love their offensive line. That's the thing. They have the potential to have one of the best offensive lines in the country. They brought in obviously Sorsby left, brought in J.C. French from Georgia Southern to run the offense. But again, one of those teams, like maybe pick a little bit higher, but particularly with that offensive line. But I'm sticking with Cincinnati at number 10.
And my 10 is Baylor, so not too far off. And I mentioned I really like Aranda. I think when he can get them all huddled and in one direction, they're okay. But when thoughts about being great come out, it may not be their ethos. And something that West Virginia fans have talked about. Hey, when West Virginia's picked high, they don't do as well as when they're disrespected. But I've got Baylor at 10.
All right, I got West Virginia at 9. Wanted to put them in the upper division. Couldn't quite take that step yet. I do think they'll improve. I do think they'll get 6 or 7 wins and get to a bowl. But overall, I've got West Virginia in that number 9 spot.
And that's where I have Oklahoma State. Mestamaker to me proved it mostly, except that, it wasn't against a full slate of Power 4 teams. But he looks pretty good. And going with your coach and, not having to adjust some of those things, I think can really help you. But, again, that 9 through 13, hey, let's jumble them all up. Anybody could be anywhere.
I'm not as high on Utah as most people are. I've got Utah at number 8. I think the loss of the the loss of the head coach is going to be significant. I've got Utah at number 8, which is really, really low for most of the preseason prognostications.
But that very well could play out, even though he has been there for so long.
Yeah.
And that's one thing I thought would work in his favor some, but that's not a guarantee of automatic success, the whole coaching waiting. My number 8 is Arizona State, and that's probably a little low because I like the way their program works. I like the way their approach. I just feel like they lost an awful lot, and their schedule is a little tougher.
Absolutely. I've got Arizona State at 7, so one click ahead of that. Nice transfer portal class. The defense should be very, very good, but you're right. They lost a lot. So I've got Arizona State in the number 7 position.
And my number 7 is Houston. And, I've tried to not be influenced too much by West Virginia's win because that was the best game West Virginia played last year.
By far, yes.
But I really like the job Willie Fritz has done there because that program was terrible. One of the worst WVU football losses of recent years when they lost on the Hail Mary game. But I think they're going to be good. I think they're going to be competitive for a bowl, but I had them in at 7.
I've got TCU at number 6, and a lot of changes there at TCU offensively. New quarterback, new coordinator. They lost Bud Clark on defense, was one of the best defensive players in the conference last year. I still think they're going to be good, but I have them at number 6, TCU at number 6.
And my 6 is K-State, and that's more of a feel pick. I feel like every time they're selected to do okay, they kind of trip and stumble a little bit, and they could still be in there. Obviously, a very productive quarterback back, but I'm just not sure if they have all the offensive weapons they may need to be in the top 3 or 4.
Yeah, Avery Johnson back at Kansas State. I've got Kansas State at number 5. It was strange last year with Kleiman, and he talked about it even before the season began. They never recovered from that long trip to Ireland. They lost that game. It was extremely competitive, but Iowa State beat them. They came back and beat North Dakota and then dropped 3 of their next 4. And it was almost like that trip to Ireland kind of took the starch out of them. And again, Kleiman was talking about it going in, about how difficult it was going to be. So it was a kind of a lost season for them. But again, with Colin Klein taking over, I'm very excited to see what he will be able to do with that offense led by Avery Johnson. I've got Kansas State at number 6.
Yeah, can Avery Johnson run the offense like Colin Klein did, the 3-yard quarterback?
Yeah,
yeah, definitely.
Actually, I'm sorry, I got K-State at number 5. We're up to number 5.
Oh, okay.
I got K-State at number 5.
My number 5 is Arizona. That might be a little high for them as I'm looking at this right now, but That was probably influenced by what I was watching today and yesterday from the Big 12 media days.
Yeah.
But, when you've got your quarterback back and he's been productive, where that is such a leg up, I think they're going to be pretty good.
Yeah, we're going to have to pick it up here. We're running out of time. The
Let's
last four. Number 4, I've got Arizona at number 4. I love Fafita. I think they're going to contend. I got them falling just short. I think they're going to contend for a spot in the Big 12 championship game.
And my 4 is TCU. I'm always impressed with their program.
Got TCU up there. Number 3, I've got Houston. I love the job Willie Fritz has done. Again, they've got their quarterback back, and I think Houston will contend for a spot in the Big 12 title game.
I probably should have put Houston higher. I've got Utah at number 3.
Okay. And it looks like we're both unanimous. It's going to be a repeat for the Big 12 conference championship game with Texas Tech and BYU. I've got Tech number 1 and BYU number 2.
I've got them flipped.
Okay.
I think BYU might have a little bit of edge going on. I really love their quarterback.
Yeah, and the coaching staff. They've done a fine job. And, again, will the Sorsby thing, will there be residual effects once the season starts for Texas Tech? We'll see. But we both have Texas Tech and BYU in the Big 12 title game. Final break here. We will have more on the other side. Stay with us. The CityNet statewide sports line continues after this.
Hey, this is Brad Howe for your local internet provider, CityNet. Fiber is now at your front door and even in rural areas and communities across West Virginia. Thanks to broadband expansion funding, your tax dollars helped make it possible. And CityNet turned that investment into real connections for local families and businesses. Now, you can get blazing fast fiber internet with free installation, free equipment, no long-term contract, and local customer support that's always close to home. Don't settle for slow or no internet for another day. When it's high-speed internet you need, CityNet.net connects, protects, and perfects.
If a fire occurred in your home, would your smoke alarms work? Don't wait for a tragedy to find out. Smoke alarms are designed to give you and your family the precious seconds you need to safely escape. Test your smoke alarms every month by pressing the test button until the alarm sounds. Depending on the type of battery in your smoke alarm, you may need to change the batteries at least once a year or whenever the low battery warning chirps. And never remove the batteries for any reason. Remember, having working smoke alarms is not only a good idea, it's the law. A message from the West Virginia State Fire Marshal's Office.
Live from the Health Plan Studios, the CityNet statewide sports line returns in 2 minutes on MetroNews, the voice of West Virginia.
You own a boat because you love spending time on the water. Choose the outboard that allows you to make the most of it. Honda Marine's legendary reliability, ease of maintenance, and powerful performance keep you going strong. And they're all backed by the peace of mind protection of the industry's best limited warranty. Visit your Honda Marine dealer today and find out why it's more than an engine. It's your time on the water.
You know CityNet is West Virginia's leading technology company. Whether we're managing IT infrastructures, protecting the critical data and networks of our region's businesses, or providing fiber broadband, TV, and phone services, we are your go-to experts. We're also a strong partner in the communities in which we serve. CityNet, your trusted technology partner. Learn more about us, visit citynet.net.
We are there for you, to care for you at the health plan. We are here for you.
The Health Plan proudly supports our active and healthy communities and has been your most trusted carrier for over 40 years. Log on to healthplan.org for more information.
We are there for you, to care for you at the health plan. We are here for you. We're Panhandle Cleaning and Restoration, and we're gonna save you. We've got it down to a science, an absolute state of art. We do it all, restoration, cleaning, and reconstruction. When disaster strikes, just pick up the phone. We're Panhandle Cleaning and Restoration, and we're gonna save you.
Final few minutes on this Wednesday night Sportsline. We've got baseball underway. The Pirates and the Braves. Ryan O'Hearn without an at-bat yet after his 3-home run, 10 RBI performance against the Braves last night. He'll get his first at-bat coming up in the bottom of the second inning. Orioles and the Cubs are underway, and also the Phillies and the Reds getting started at the top of the hour. Again, this is the CityNet statewide sports line. Since 1979, the health plan has called West Virginia home. From humble beginnings, they've grown alongside West Virginia, becoming a part of its fabric. For over 4 decades, they've been here through thick and thin, supporting local families and businesses, proudly serving West Virginia for over 40 years. The health plan. Well, Kevin, thanks for coming in. We appreciate it. It was fun going through our own little preseason media poll.
Hopefully nobody wrote those down.
That's right, and hold us to them. We didn't get to the baseball talk. We'll do that tomorrow night. Tyler Barnett of ESPN Plus scheduled to join us. We'll kind of go over the rebuilt WVU baseball roster. Joe Bricata will be back in as well. We'll get his poll. We'll try to formulate a consensus here as we head into preseason camp. Again, Kevin, thanks. We appreciate it. It's been fun.
Always a good time.
Kevin Kinder, Blue and Gold News, our co-host for tonight. Thanks for listening and watching the Sports Line, and we are back on Thursday with another edition of the Sports Line.
From the Health Plan Studios, the CityNet statewide sports line is an exclusive production of the MetroNews Radio Network. All rights reserved.